Crenshaw Decree. Crenshaw Decree. Crenshaw Decree. Crenshaw Decree. Well, I'm dying. Crenshaw Decree. Crenshaw Decree. Crenshaw Decree. Issue from the boulevard itself, not from Harlem's philosophy, not from Houston's 808, not from Memphis' circuit. From the strip that built the standard, Crenshaw Boulevard is where the West Coast made its case. The heavy bass punch beneath this statement is the signature. No Tri 808 apology, no speed to 100 overture. Crenshaw runs on a different kind of instrument entirely. The drum machine that doesn't need to justify its procedure. I watched four corners claim the territory in the method. I respected everyone from the appropriate distance, but Crenshaw didn't wait for a consensus on the question. Crenshaw issued the decree with maximum persistence. Crenshaw Decree. No appeal, no amendment. Crenshaw Decree. The boulevard already spoke. Crenshaw Decree. Four corners heard the verdict. Crenshaw Decree. West Coast never asked to be woke. Crenshaw Decree. The pimpin' Crenshaw doesn't write philosophy like Harlem. The pimpin' Crenshaw doesn't carry gospel weight like Houston. The pimpin' Crenshaw doesn't celebrate like Memphis does on Bill. The Crenshaw pimp decreed the game before the others had a solution. Stripped to the architecture, no excess in the operation. Every element functional, every member earning weight. Crenshaw taught me that the most powerful statement is the minimum. The decree is 4 words. Crenshaw runs this straight. The heavy bass punch underneath this declaration is not an argument. It's the gavel coming down. 4 corners, same game, but Crenshaw holds the gavel and the gavel hits the bench regardless of the town. Crenshaw Decree. No appeal, no amendment. Crenshaw Decree. The boulevard already spoke. Crenshaw Decree. 4 corners heard the verdict. Crenshaw Decree. The West Coast hosts the docket. I don't need Memphis volume to establish what I've established. I don't need Harlem wordplay to document what's documented. The bass punch and the hard drum machine in collaboration is the Crenshaw way of saying this was never up for debate. They brought their testimony, brought their legends, brought their bounce. Crenshaw watched it all without a single shift in posture. The decree was already written on the boulevard itself in asphalting and chroming, and the cost it all for paid after. The stripped hard texture of this final statement is not emptiness, it's what remains when everything is stripped to core. Crenshaw Decree is what you get when you remove all the pretense. The West Coast Mac who never once was running what he wasn't for. Crenshaw Decree. No appeal, no amendment. Crenshaw Decree. The boulevard already spoke. Crenshaw Decree. 4 corners heard the verdict. Crenshaw Decree. West side, final, blow. Crenshaw Decree. Crenshaw Decree. Crenshaw Decree. Crenshaw Decree. Read it, no revision. Crenshaw Decree. The street already signed it. Crenshaw Decree. 4 corners, 1 conclusion. Crenshaw Decree. The boulevard designed it. Crenshaw Decree. Crenshaw Decree. The West Coast didn't need permission to be free. Stripped to the bone, and the bone is what you see. Crenshaw Decree. The decree. This is way. Ladera lights never off. Ladera lights never off. You drive up those hills at any hour, and the house with the amber light in the window has been on since before you arrive, and will still be on after you leave. Ladera lights. The house doesn't have a street number visible from the road, not because it was removed, it was never installed. The people who need to find this house don't use the number to find it. They use everything else. The turn after the eucalyptus, the mailbox with no flag, the driveway that looks unpaved, but it's the people who need to find it know the landmarks in the order they appear without consulting anything, because the sequence was told to them once verbally, and they remembered it because they understood that what gets told once without being written down is the most valuable information in any world. This house has a room at the back with a view of the basin when the smog clears, and on the nights when the smog clears in January, you can see from downtown to the ocean from that room. And the men in that room have been making decisions that affect the basin they're looking at for the last 2.5 decades, without the basin knowing the decisions were being made. From where? Ladera lights never off. Ladera light never off. The amber in the window is the signal, the only signal. And if you're asking what the signal means, you were never supposed to see the window. I sat in that room for the first time in 2001, courtesy of a woman named Victoria, who I'd spent 2 years making myself useful to without asking for anything in return. And 2 years of usefulness without asking is the currency that buys you into rooms like this. Victoria didn't explain the room before we arrived. She explained it once inside afterward, and the explanation was, remember this view, because this view is the measure of everything we're trying to protect down there. The house has a kitchen that operates between midnight and 4. Not a catered kitchen, a real kitchen operated by a man named Edgar, who has cooked in this kitchen every Friday night since 1998. And Edgar's cooking is not the point of the room, but the room has never been the same on nights Edgar isn't there, which is why Edgar hasn't missed a Friday in 26 years. Loyalty to a kitchen is loyalty to what the kitchen serves, and Edgar understood that before the first Friday, Ladera lights never off, because the conversation that started before you arrived doesn't stop because you left, and the conversation that will continue after you've gone home requires the light to stay on for the people still arriving. And in this world, somebody's always still arriving at any hour, on any night. That the amber light says the conversation is happening. The lights went off once, power outage 2019, and Edgar lit candles on every surface in the kitchen. And the room continued by candlelight until 3 in the morning when the power came back. And then the amber light went back on, and nobody left because the light's going off. Didn't change what the room was for. Ladera lights, Ladera lights.
Nobody sent you an invitation. That's the first thing you need to understand about this. The invitation doesn't exist in any form that can be forwarded, photographed, or remembered afterward. You got here because someone decided you were ready to get here, and that decision was made in a room you'll never visit, by people who were watching you in situations you didn't know were auditions. This is Houston, but it ain't the Houston the highway knows. The Houston I'm talking about is behind the Houston on the exit signs. It's the Houston that opens at 1 in the morning, when the restaurants that require reservations have closed, and the people who run those restaurants have gone to the place that doesn't require a reservation, because you either have access or you don't. And access was decided long before the night. The door is on Greenbrier, set back from the street, the kind of door that looks like a side entrance to something else. It's 'cause it's the side entrance to something else. Something else being the accurate description of everything the city holds past midnight, when the visible world goes home and the world that was always here just underneath it stops pretending it isn't operating. Miss Celestin has been watching it dope since 1991. Not working it, watching it. There's a difference. The man working the door is visible. Miss Celestin is 3 houses down in a car that's been on that block long enough that nobody notices it anymore. And Miss Celestine notices everything. And what Miss Celestine notices gets to the right people before you finish parking. The invitation nobody said is the understanding that you already belong here. Before you walk through that door, that's the only invitation that matters in any city, in any version of this world that exists past midnight. The paper invitation is for events. This ain't an event, this is infrastructure. I came up in this world through my uncle's barbershop, not the barbershop itself. What the barbershop was adjacent to, Uncle Ray had 6 chairs and a back room. The back room had a door to the parking lot, and the parking lot had a conversation happening every Tuesday night from 1994 forward. I swept hair until I was 15, and when I was 15, Uncle Ray stopped sending me home before the conversation started. And that was the invitation, a man not sending you home. The invitation nobody sent is the nod across the room, is the second handshake that lasts slightly longer than the first. It's being asked to stay when everyone else is told the night is over. It's being trusted with the information of where the continuation is before the continuation starts. You don't apply for this, you demonstrate over time in smaller rooms that you understand the value of the door being closed, and the night keeps track in a way that paper never could. Uncle Ray died at 72, 30 years of Tuesday nights behind him. Not one of those nights in a report anywhere. That's the testimony, that's the legacy, that's what you inherit when somebody decides you're ready for the invitation that nobody sent, nobody sent, nobody sent.
Yeah, Pacific Coast Protocol. Learn it to lead the freeway. The city runs on systems that the visitor can't read. I've had the map of LA memorized since 91 in August, and the protocol is everything that fills the spaces in between. Not Compton's raw declaration, this is LA's precision. The 4, 5, and 2 a.m. is the document that proves it. I run the latitude from Hollywood to Inglewood on schedule. Pacific Coast Protocol, you follow it or lose it. TR 808 in the foundation. Every base punch pre-approved, every movement calculated. Before the movement's visible, the West Coast has 2 languages. The one they use for tourists, and the one that runs the actual physics of the grid.
Pacific Coast Protocol.
12 months, no exception. The coastal fall
doesn't take a holiday.
Neither do I. I've watched men try to freelance in the city built on systems. The city eats the freelancers
and doesn't tell you why.
I know every gate on Crenshaw, every code on Ladera. I know which hour the management of every block shifts over. The Pacific Coast Protocol is not a rigid document. It updates every season, and I update with October. They tried to run the East Coast model in the LA infrastructure. Tried to use the philosophy where physics should have been. Harlem's vocabulary is a beautiful construction, but LA doesn't negotiate. It runs on discipline.
Pacific Coast Protocol.
12 months, no exception.
The coastal fall doesn't take a holiday.
Neither do I.
No room for improvisation when the inventory's this specific. No room for sentiment when the protocol is tight. Deshaun runs the Wilshire corridor from 6 to 2 on Thursdays. Carl holds the La Cienega strip from 10 to 3. Both of them are fluent in the protocol. I wrote them, and the protocol is the only thing that keeps this city free. The heavy TR 808 in my chest doesn't skip a single timing. Every bass punch lands exactly where the chart expects it to land. Pacific Coast Protocol is not intimidation, it's engineering. The most dangerous thing in LA is a man with an organized plan.
Pacific Coast Protocol.
12 months, no exception.
But the coastal fall doesn't take a holiday.
Neither do I. I've watched men try to freelance in a city built on systems. The city eats the freelancers
and doesn't tell you why.
4 corners, same game, but the West Coast runs the manual. The East thinks in theory, the South runs on feeling. The Bay counts bread, LA counts in protocols. Pre-approved, pre-scheduled, predetermined. The city that taught the country what a system looks like.
Pacific Coast Protocol.
Write it down, memorize it.
Pacific Coast Protocol.
The coast already runs on time.
Pacific Coast Protocol.
4 corners, 1 acknowledgement.
The West Coast Protocol.
It's the architecture of the climb. Hey, ain't got a sign on the door. Ain't got a sign on the door, ain't got a listing on the block. You find this place the same way. Everybody found this place. Somebody brought you. Somebody vouched for you. Somebody decided you was ready. That's the only map there is. And you either have it or you don't. I walked in the same way, 19 winners back. Raymond put his hand on my shoulder, said nothing, just nodded once. That nod was worth more than 1,000 explanations from people who don't know what they talking about. Every city got a version of this, every version got a different protocol, but the entry is always the same. You don't apply, you get selected, and the selection isn't announced, it's just suddenly true. One Tuesday you're outside, and the next Tuesday you're in, and nobody explains the transition, because the transition is the test. Some cats read it wrong, think it's about flash, think it's about the chain, the car, the corner presence. That ain't the game here, that's the lobby. What's behind the lobby is something else entirely. You gotta know the difference between a man who performs and a man who actually holds something. I learned that the hard way, Tuesday off Western Avenue. Watch the performer get folded in about 30 seconds. Nobody came to help, that's the first lesson. Nobody folds a man who actually holds something, they make space instead. This ain't the life for everyone. That's not an insult, it's just geography. Some people live on the surface, some people live below it, and below it has its own weather, its own calendar, its own law. You follow the surface law when you're on the surface. Down here, different code applies, and the code don't get written down, because writing it down makes it available. And available means diluted, and diluted means it stops working. And this has been working for a long time before you arrive. The only map is knowing, the only knowing is earning, the only earning is surviving long enough to understand what you survive, and telling nobody about it in any detail that could be used as a map by the wrong person. I keep it clean, I keep it professional, not because the law is watching, they always watch, but because the craft demands it. Sloppiness cost you what you built, and what I built took longer than most people's entire careers to get right. Raymond used to say, the minute you get comfortable is the minute you started paying for something you don't know you owe yet. I didn't understand that at 22, I understand it completely at 41. Raymond died on a Thursday, natural cause at 67 years old. The man held more territory than most politicians, and not a single newspaper covered it. No obituary in any publication, no ceremony that the outside world would recognize. That's the definition of clean power, that's the target I've been shooting at since that first nod on a November night, when he decided I was worth the information of simply knowing that the door existed. The territory has a memory longer than any individual in it. Every person who came through and did it right gets remembered, not in any file, not in any archive, but in the way rooms get quiet when their name gets mentioned. Years after they're gone, that's the ledger this world keeps, and it keeps it accurately. Not because anyone is trying to be fair, but because this world is too small to afford inaccurate records. The only map is no. The only map is no. And no one ain't given. It's carved out of years that don't make it to the story, out of choices that were never announced, out of rooms that had no witness except the people who mattered. You wanna know where the door is? Earn the right to ask someone who already went through it. That's the only answer I got, and it's the only answer anyone gave me. And you don't. The hour before the code breaks is the hour that reveals itself as the inventory of everything you put upon the shelf, of the man you said you were when the night was young and certain. The hour before the code breaks, when the night pulls back its curtain. At 4 in the morning, this boulevard has had its own reckoning. Done the inventory of the night, beckoning to the one still standing with the question of duration. How long can a man hold the code without the foundation of the ordinary world outside the boulevard's specific temperature? The hour before the code breaks is the hour of the lecture that the night gives to itself, not a lecture you can attend, but a conversation happening between the code and the end of its own patience. Every code eventually tests the ones that's carried through the code nights, and the best of them are the ones who already knew the test was coming. The hour before the code breaks, and the boulevard is running its final calculation on the night and what was in it. Before the code breaks, you got about a minute to be honest with yourself about what you came here holding. before the code breaks, and the code is always folding. The hour before the code breaks, and the code is always. I saw a man break it 420 on Crenshaw once, not with drama, just the visible arithmetic of months of the single map accumulating in the posture. The shoulder dropping first, and the specific roster of expressions that a man makes when the code becomes too heavy for the interior that's carrying it. When the levy of all the years of maintenance surpasses what the man inside the maintenance can hold, and there is nowhere left to hide the code from the one who's holding it, because holding is inside. And at 4 a.m. on Crenshaw, there is no place to divide the code from the man, and sometimes the division happens anyway. The hour before the code breaks, this is when the real survives. The hour before the code breaks, this is when the man arrives. At the question of who he was before the code became his grammar. The hour before the code breaks, and the bass hits like a hammer. The hour before the code breaks, and the truth is in the sound. The hour before the code breaks, and the truth is in the sound. The hour before the code breaks, and the truth is in the ones who last are not the ones with the hardest code. The ones who last are the ones who kept the road. Back to the man beneath the code who maintained the map for the other world that waited if the boulevard collapsed. Who held the code with full commitment but held the exit too. Not as a coward but as a man who already knew the difference between a life that runs through the boulevard and the life that includes the boulevard. The regard for the full terrain, who understood the night as part of the world and not the world's entire life. Who drives home in 455 and still knows where home is. The hour before the code breaks, and some of them make it through. Some of them find the map still folded somewhere in the truth of who they were at 9 that morning, and they retrieve it. The hour before the code breaks, and the ones who survive believe it. The hour before the code breaks, and the bass is running hard. The hour before the code breaks, and the boulevard is scarred with the memory of the ones who didn't make the turn. The hour before the code breaks is the one where you learn. The hour before the code breaks, and I'm making it through. 455, I point the car north toward the life that I kept. The boulevard behind me in the coast, still not bereft of its specific dignity. I held the code and I held the exit. The hour before the code breaks, and I found the next step. By the time you shake my hand, the decision was already made 3 weeks ago. In a conversation you wasn't part of, between people you ain't met yet. That's not a power move, that's just how this runs. Ain't nothing personal in the vetting process, but everything is personal in the result. If you pass, you got passed. If you ain't, you'll never know what test you failed, because the test didn't look like a test. The test looked like a Thursday lunch. The test looked like a casual question about someone you both know. The test looked like how you handled a piece of information that got dropped in a room where you happened to be standing, and you either proved you could hold information or you didn't, and neither outcome was announced. Chosen before the handshake, chosen before you knew there was a door, chosen before the door opened, or you weren't, and either way, that's permanent. The people who make it to the handshake already cleared everything that mattered. If the handshake is just acknowledgement of what was already decided. I watched Reginald work this system for 20 years. Never announced himself, never broadcasted his credentials. Walked into every room like he'd been there before, because in a real sense he'd already been vetted into every room before he physically entered it. That's the difference between a man with infrastructure and a man still building his name. Reginald never needed the introduction. The introduction always came before he arrived, carried by people he'd never be in the same room with. People who said Reginald's coming in a certain tone, and the room prepared accordingly. But the vetting doesn't happen at meetings. Meetings are for people who already cleared vetting. The vetting happens at the periphery, at the edges of other situations. Someone watches how you handle pressure you didn't know was applied. Someone reports back on what you said when you thought the person you said it to was just conversation. No conversation in this world is just conversation. Every conversation is a deposition, and you're always on the record, even in rooms where there's no formal record being kept. Chosen before the handshake. Chosen before the handshake. The interview happened in moments you didn't mark as interviews. The audition was every interaction you thought was casual. Every time you were tired and still stayed professional. Every time you were frustrated and still held the standard. Every time you knew something and chose the right amount of silence. Those moments were the application. And someone was great in them who you never knew was watching. I don't take meetings with men I haven't already studied. I don't extend invitations to people I haven't already observed. 3 separate contexts minimum. That's my personal standard. Most people consider that excessive. Most people operate on a 2-context vetting system. And most people eventually face consequences for the person they fast-track through a 2-context system. Because 2 contexts can be prepared for 3 separate contexts. Especially unexpected ones cannot. Context 3 is where the performance breaks down and the actual person shows up. And you need to know the actual person before you bring them anywhere close to anything real. Out here, the reputation economy is the only economy that matters. Your credit score is what 3 different people in 3 different cities say about you when you're not in the womb. And if those 3 reports don't align, then none of the 3 reports are usable. Because something in your presentation is inconsistent. And inconsistency in this world, it's the most dangerous quality you can bring to a table. Inconsistency means you're managing impressions, which means you know your actual behavior won't hold up. And this world has been identifying that gap since before you entered it. Chosen before the handshake. Before the handshake. I ain't trying to intimidate, I'm trying to explain the architecture, so you understand why everything seems casual until it isn't. Why Tuesday afternoon cup of coffee can determine the next 5 years of your position in this world. Why the man who pours the coffee matters as much as the man who ordered it. Because the man who pours it sees everything at table level, and this report carries weight in rooms you don't know exist. The man who seems like he's not watching is the man who's been watching the longest. The woman who seems like a friendly face knows more about you than your closest associate. That's not paranoia, that's just how professional intelligence works in the industry that never signed a non-disclosure agreement and doesn't need to, because silence is the agreement. And silence here is not the absence of communication, it's the primary mode of it. Chosen before the handshake. And once you understand that, you start conducting yourself accordingly in every room, because every room is the interview. Even the rooms where nobody mentioned an interview, especially those rooms. Hey, yo. Yeah, at 3 in the morning, the boulevard has its own arithmetic. The math that only runs when most of the city has been sick with sleep and left the night to the ones who chose it freely. And the 3 a.m. takes from those ones what they don't know they giving. Reginald told me once in a parking lot near Florence at 3:15 on a Thursday with the kind of performance and nonchalance that only a man deep in the current of losing everything slowly uses. Like it wasn't urgent. He said the game doesn't take from you the way you think it takes. It doesn't arrive with a demand and it doesn't have the stakes posted on the door like a hotel rate you can refuse. It takes in the accumulation, small things, the morning views from your apartment that you stop noticing by year 3, the birthday of your sister that you forgot in 90T, the specific smell of the home you grew up and gone. What the 3 a.m. takes from you, it doesn't take all at once. It accumulates the way that debt accumulates in months. A minimum attention paid to everything outside the boulevard. What the 3 a.m. takes from you, the other maps get scarred. The 3 a.m. takes. And Reginald knew first. By year 5, Reginald said the boulevard was the only map he had. He let the other maps fold and collapse into the single vocabulary of the game in the corner. And when the game shifted and he became a mourner of corners he no longer held, the other maps were gone. There was nothing to return to, just the boulevard at 1 and 2 and 3 a.m. The territory contracting with every year with a single map. The code retracted around the man who made the code his only architecture, until the code became too small. Not the structure of a life, but just the room, and the room got smaller. What the 3 a.m. takes from you, it takes the other languages, what you could have spoken, and the places and the bandages of ordinary life that hold the rest of the world together. What the 3 a.m. takes from you is everything the weather of another kind of morning could have been and isn't. I drive this boulevard with the knowledge of that Thursday parking lot, with the knowledge of what Reginald described and what he's got left now. He still holds his corner, still holds the code and form, but something in the interior went quiet before the storm of his 52nd birthday. Quiet in the way that a house gets quiet when the people who filled it went away. I drive this boulevard at 3 a.m. with the specific care of a man who heard the Thursday parking lot and learned to snare the game sets for the ones who forget to keep the other maps, who let the code become the only language, the only laps that cost you everything that 3 a.m. eventually takes. Reginald still stands at Florence, I still pass the lot. I wave and he waves back with the specific nod he's got for the ones who've been here long enough to know the toll. What the 3 a.m. takes, how you pay it with the soul. What the 3 a.m. takes from you is everything you didn't keep, the maps you let collapse, the mornings you let sleep through without the other world available to hold you. What the 3 a.m. takes, and I've been careful since Reginald told me what the 3 a.m. takes, and the code is not enough alone. Hey, 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 hey. I drive north on Figaro at 3:45 and know that Reginald is still out there somewhere in the flow with a boulevard at working temperature, still informed. But the 3 a.m. took something before the dawn of all those single map years, and the drum machine still runs. Hey, hey. Break on the vibe. Break on the vibe. Break.
Yeah.
Hydraulics on Imperial to bounce before the lights change. The boulevard don't sleep, it shifts, it rearranges. Low rider lifted on the east side of the block. The code ain't written anywhere, but everyone can read it on the clock. We came up knowing something that the outside world don't see. This avenue's a language and the fluent ones are free. Hydraulics talking different, left lean than the right lean. This is West Coast mathematics, it's a whole different regime. Yeah. We cars deep at the light on Imperial and Great. The engines breathing low, the chrome reflecting the landscape. We hold this corner not with words, with presence and with weight, with the understanding that we built the terms of this estate. Hydraulics on Imperial, the whole block knows the sound. The way a car can speak a paragraph without a word around. Up, down, upside to side, then easy back to level. This is how we hold the culture. We don't argue with the devil. Rico from the east side's got a system in the trunk. Speakers rattling every window, bass that hits you like a drunk. He's been on this block since 89, before the freeway split us, before the city tried to draw a line to figure out who's with us. The old men by the liquor store don't say much, just nod. They've seen this corner through 7 different eras, through the squad, through the ones who made it out and ones who didn't get to try. They don't waste words on the obvious, they just watch the cars go by. Hydraulics on Imperial, the conversation carries west. This is where the code gets tested, where the culture's under stress, where every car is a position, every bump is in the dress, where the language of the lowrider says more than I confess. We don't explain it to the cameras or the magazines in line, we don't perform it for the documentaries. This is just design, this is how we move through space that was designed to keep us small. Hydraulics on Imperial, we answer to the call. The daughters of the OGs ride the same cars down the same street, same chrome, same lean, same low, same heartbeat. Continuity don't need a certificate or a speech, just a set of hydraulics and an understanding we can reach. Hydraulics on Imperial, the sun drops behind the block, the street lights start the conversation with the hydraulic talk. Up, down, left, right, the language of the coast. This is how we speak to everything we've loved the most. No. Introduction required. By the time I walk in, the room already knows what walked in and adjusts accordingly. That's not arrogance. That's just what 23 years of building looks like when it walks through a door. Arrogance doesn't know the rooms it shouldn't be in. I know. Every room I shouldn't be in, and I'm not in any of them. I've been from Figueroa to Florence to Century Boulevard. Every intersection knows my rate of operation. Every man who matters in these blocks has either worked with me directly or worked with someone who worked with me and got the report secondhand, which is accurate enough because the report has been accurate for 2 decades, and the accuracy of the report over time is the introduction that precedes me everywhere I go. No introduction required. No introduction required. The word was already here before I was. The name does the arriving first. I just confirmed what the room already suspected. Some men need to tell you who they are. Those men are still building. When you're done building, the testimony is in the architecture. Every person in this room is standing in it right now. Every arrangement that got honored, every situation that got managed without escalation. Every time the word was kept when keeping it cost something real. That's the foundation, and the foundation speaks louder than any introduction I could give myself. An introduction I gave myself would undercut what other people's experience of me has already established. And I spent too long building that experience to undermine it with a business card. I remember when I needed the introduction, 1998, new to the protocol, new to the weight of it. Had to have someone speak for me in every room, had to prove the voucher wasn't wasted on me. Every man who makes it through the proven period knows exactly how heavy those rooms were when you hadn't earned the right to enter them quietly yet. I sat at the edge of those rooms and watched and said almost nothing for 3 years. And the 3 years of sitting at the edge is what earned the center seat I've been in since. Now, quiet is my loudest statement. I walk in, I sit, I wait, and the room reorganizes itself around that waiting, because they know that I waited long enough that what I'm waiting for now is worth the room's patience. The room gives me that patience, not because of the coat I'm wearing, not because of anything I said in the last 5 minutes, but because of 23 years of showing up the same way in every room. And the room has a memory longer than any individual conversation. No introduction required. No introduction required. Ask the man in the back what he thinks I came for. He already knows, because I told him with my presence 6 weeks ago in a different room, in a different city. And presence is consistent across territory. That's how you know a man is real. Same way, same measure, same standard, regardless of what city he's standing in. The man who changes his behavior based on the room is the man whose report can't be trusted, because the report depends on which room you caught him in. My report is the same from Los Angeles to Memphis to Chicago, and that consistency is the only introduction that can't be fabricated. This ain't about pride, I got past pride in the second decade. This is about the craft being undeniable. When the craft is undeniable, the room knows it before that handshake. And after the handshake, everything is already decided. The handshake is just ceremony. The ceremony acknowledges what was already true. I built this the way concrete is laid, one pour at a time, one layer curing before the next gets added. And what got built is not coming down, cause what got built was built right from the foundation level, before anybody was watching, before anybody thought it was worth watching, before I had any reason to believe it would ever be worth watching, except that the craft demanded it be done correctly, regardless of who was observing. No introduction required. Not on this coast, not in this world, not in this lifetime. Come correct or don't come at all. The territory doesn't know anyone in orientation. You were supposed to know the orientation before you decided to arrive. And if you didn't know, that's information the territory needed about you, and the territory has filed it accordingly in the ledger that doesn't get corrected.
There's a point in this life where ordinary stops being available,
Not as a punishment,
just as a consequence of what you've seen. And what you've seen can't be unseen, and unseen things reframe the way the ordinary looks, permanently, not temporarily. You don't get a window where it reverts. The seeing is a one-way door, and nobody who walked through it has ever successfully walked back.
I remember ordinary. I was 19 and ordinary felt like the safest container available. Then somebody opened a door that looked like an ordinary door, and behind it was everything that the ordinary street doesn't reference. And I walked through it voluntarily, which means I can't claim I was taken anywhere. I chose the door, which is the most important thing to understand about everything that came after.
Exit the ordinary,
Not a destination, just a direction.
exit the ordinary,
And watch ordinary become a country you don't have the passport to anymore. This doesn't happen all at once. It happens the way a language is forgotten gradually. Then suddenly, one day you go back to try to speak it, and the words don't come the same way. And the people on the other side notice that something is different about the way you're trying. I don't say that with nostalgia, and I don't say it with regret. I say it with the kind of clarity that comes from living on both sides of a line long enough to know exactly where the line is and exactly why crossing it was irreversible. I've met men who crossed it and spent 20 years trying to pretend they hadn't, trying to maintain 1 foot in the ordinary world as insurance against the world they'd actually entered. And what I observed is that the foot in the ordinary world costs more than the ordinary world ever gave you back. The insurance policy is priced wrong from the beginning. The ordinary world operates on the assumption that the official version is the complete version, that what gets acknowledged is what exists, that what's on the record is the record. I spent 20-something years learning that the record is a fraction of what actually happened, and the fraction that gets recorded is specifically selected by people who had reasons for recording that fraction and omitting the rest. The omissions are not accidents, the omissions are decisions made by people who understood what omitting those things would cost the people who needed them.
Exit the ordinary.
And everything you thought was the whole picture becomes obviously a partial picture.
Ordinary.
And you start to understand why certain men move through crowds, and the crowd doesn't know what moved through them. The crowd processes the surface, and the surface is managed so that the crowd processes only what the surface allows, which is why the surface exists and why maintaining it costs what it costs. I'm not better for this life. I want to be clear about that. Better is a moral category, and this isn't a moral story. I'm more informed, more calibrated, more aware of how things actually function versus how they're presented to people who have no access to the function. That's different from better. That's just more complete. And more complete comes at a price that the ordinary world doesn't charge for, because the ordinary world doesn't offer the product. The ordinary has its compensations. I don't pretend otherwise. Relationships, simplicity, sleep that comes easy. This life has a toll that the ordinary doesn't have to pay. And anyone who tells you different is selling the aesthetic without the ledger that comes with it. The ledger I've been paying from for 23 years includes things I don't mention in any room, because the mention would cost more than the thing cost. And some things you pay for twice if you're not careful about who knows you paid.
Exit the ordinary.
Knowing the ledger, choosing it anyway. Knowing the toll, paying it with full information.
Ordinary.
That's the only way this works, because the ones who exited without knowing the ledger spent years trying to re-enter the ordinary. And ordinary had moved on while they were gone. Ordinary doesn't wait. Ordinary doesn't remember holding the door for anyone. Ordinary just continues the way everything continues that doesn't need you specifically to continue. The territory doesn't need me to explain it. The territory doesn't need my testimony for its legitimacy. The territory was here. The territory will continue. I'm just a man who walked through more doors than most and lived long enough to know that the most important door, but the most important door was the first one I walked through without turning back, because the not turning back is the contract, and the contract is with the territory, not with any person in it. And the territory enforces its contracts. And the only way territories know how, by outlasting everything that might argue to them. The fur came after the protocol, not before it. I need you to understand the sequence, because the sequence is everything. A lot of men came through here wearing the outer layer, thinking the outer layer was the entry point, and got dealt with accordingly, because they had the aesthetics without the foundation. And the foundation is what this world checks first. The foundation is invisible to people who didn't build one, which is why they look for the aesthetics instead, and why they consistently misread the room. But
Fur and protocol.
you can't have one without the other.
Fur and protocol.
The coat means nothing if you don't already know the rules that earn the coat.
Fur and protocol.
This ain't fashion, this is architecture. The drape is just the flag. The country is what matters. I knew a man called Sterling, impeccable presentation, gator boots, cream coat, the whole visual language. Walked into situations that required more than visual language, and the visual language didn't save him because he borrowed the aesthetic without doing the labor. The labor is invisible, that's why people skip it. They see the output and reverse engineer the wrong logic. Sterling spent 3 years in the lobby, convinced that if he dressed like the men who had access, the access would follow. And for 3 years the men with access watched Sterling, and by the 3rd year they'd seen enough to know that Sterling had the wardrobe, but not the word. And the word is what opens rooms, not the wardrobe. Protocol is this: you establish your word before you establish your wardrobe. Your word is the equity. The wardrobe is just compounding interest. A man without his word and a fur coat is a liability in expensive fabric. And liabilities don't last in this world. This world is efficient at identifying them. It takes one situation where the word gets tested, one moment where keeping the word costs something real. And either you keep it and everything you built means something, or you don't keep it and everything you built was dressing for a part you weren't actually playing. Fur and protocol, you can't have one without the other. Fur and protocol. I spent 3 years in rooms where the most powerful man was wearing nothing remarkable because he didn't need the visual to announce himself. The room already knew fur and protocol. When you get to a certain level, the fur becomes optional. The protocol never does. And here's what nobody tells you about reaching that level. Protocol doesn't get easier, it gets more precise. Every year you're in this world, the tolerance for variance decreases. What was acceptable at year 3 is unacceptable at year 12. Because by year 12, the standard has had time to know you. And the standard knows exactly what you're capable of and holds you to it. I watched Charlene build her territory from a single contact on the east side of Compton, 1994. Nothing extraordinary to look at. 5 years later, she was the person other people needed to know. Not because she advertised, because she delivered, and delivering consistently, quietly, without exception. In this world is the loudest statement you can make. Charlene never owned a fur coat, I checked. Charlene owned something better than a fur coat. Charlene owned a reputation that preceded her in the room she hadn't entered yet. The loudest room I ever sat in had 4 people in it whispering, because they didn't need volume to establish consequence. Fighting is for people who haven't established consequence yet. Once the consequence is known, the silence does the work. I'm still learning to be more silent, and I was never the loudest man in any room. But there are rooms I've been in for 20 years where I'm still not the quietest. And I understand now that silence is a practice, not a state. You don't arrive at silence, you work toward it every day against the pull of wanting to be heard. Fur and protocol, you can't have one without the other. Fur and protocol. Strip the fur and what's left should be enough to still command the space. If it ain't the fur was doing work it shouldn't have to do. Fur and protocol. Earn the inside first and dress it however you choose, because at that point the outside is just expression. And expression from a solid foundation means something different than expression from an empty one. Sterling eventually understood this. It took everything Sterling had, but he understood it. And he understood it. And the understanding, even late, was the beginning of the real work. The protocol isn't written in any book I've seen. I've been looking for 20 years. It lives in the decisions made right, accumulated. And the accumulation becomes the coat, and the coat earned the right way fits differently than any coat you could buy without earning the right to wear it.
The doorman doesn't stand at the door. The doorman is the door. Everything that passes through him gets read in the time it takes to make eye contact. And he decides in that same window whether the night continues or it doesn't. I've seen men with correct clothes, correct car, correct everything stand at that door and get turned. Not because they did something wrong in the moment, but because something in the moment confirmed what someone had already suspected. And the door doesn't argue with suspicion at 2 a.m. The door acts on what it reads.
What the doorman reads. How you hold yourself when nobody's told you to hold yourself a certain way. How you look at the building before you approach it. Whether you look, that tells everything. everything. The men who belong here already know what's in the building. They not curious about the exterior. They already know what's inside, so they don't look at it. They move toward it with the certainty of someone who is going somewhere they've been before. I went through this door for the first time in 1999, courtesy of a man named Devontae who owed me 3 favors and decided this was the appropriate currency. Devontae didn't explain the door, he just stood next to me. And the doorman read Devontae and read me in proximity to Devontae and made a calculation. And the calculation was favorable. That's how it works the first time. You get borrowed credibility, and you spend the rest of your relationship with this world building your own.
What the doorman reads.
The way you speak to your driver when you get out of the car, the amount of care you take crossing the lot, whether you step around a crack in the concrete or step on it.
Small thing.
Significant information, the patience in your walk. Are you arriving or performing arrival? There's a difference. In the door sees it every night.
Ladera Heights operates on a specific frequency, not just any West Coast frequency, a specific one.
The houses up here have views and they hold them like the city is something that happens to other people from up here. You watch the grid of lights below, and the grid doesn't know you're watching. That's the position this world operates from. Not above the city in superiority, above it in vantage point, which is different.
What the doorman reads
is whether you understand that difference, whether you carry the vantage point in your posture without performing it. Performance is what gets turned away. The reality is what gets waved through. And the doorman has been reading this difference every night for 16 years without once getting it wrong in a way that mattered.
I got read right on the first night, not because of anything I did consciously, but because Devontae had done what Devontae does, which is put people in positions where the natural behavior is visible. And my natural behavior at a door I never stood at before was the same as my natural behavior everywhere. And that consistency is what the doorman is looking for. What the doorman reads.
Whether you're the same person in all your contexts, or whether the person standing at this door is a character being performed for this specific occasion. If it's a performance, the door knows.
The door has seen the performance before, and the performance always has a tell. And the tell always shows up in the first 3 seconds before the performer has time to manage it.
In the plane, in the plane, in the plane. In no stick, in no stick.
Yeah.
In no dick. 60 miles per hour down the Pacific Coast Highway. The city falling back behind me like a sentence left unsaid. The wind through every window is the only thing that silenced everything behind me trying to collect is dead ahead. The ocean on the left side, confirming something I can't name. I left the block at midnight. Something shifted in the air, the kind of shit that tells you that your presence isn't welcome. Where the same streets that you grew on start to feel like something foreign, like the city wrote a version of your story that was boring and replaced it with a version that it found more interesting to manage. I don't argue with the city when it's listening that way. I find the highway and I give it 60 miles. And let the wind between the windows take the file. 60 miles per hour and the coastline opens wide. The water on the left side and the cliffs on the other side. This is the exhale of a West Coast boy at the edge of himself, running this specific calculus of what stays on the shelf. 60 miles per hour, the only mathematics that makes sense. And what gets left behind, and whether leaving means you failed, or whether sometimes 60 miles per hour is the only trail available when everything you love is pulling at the seam. And the only honest answer is the wind in the machine. The highway has no memory of who drove it yesterday, no record of the reasons or the weight that wouldn't stay. It just lays flat and honest toward the north and toward the south, unless you drive your story at whatever speed your mouth won't say. Because the 60 miles per hour is the prayer, the kind of prayer that doesn't need a building or a chair, just speed in the Pacific and the willingness to move. Because I watched the ones who drove and never turned around, who let the highway answer every question till they drowned in the absence of the very thing the highway was escaping. And I won't be that story, I know what I'm not trading. I know what's behind me and I know that I'll go back. I know the block is still the block and the code is still intact. I know Miss Rose's radio is still running in the morning, and Miss Coretta's light is on without a warning to anyone who needs it. I know the harbor still loosens after 12, and Daryl's talk box is still somewhere on the shelf, waiting for the dream that isn't too far now from this highway.
60 miles per hour.
This is West Coast mathematics, the equation of the coastline. When the city gets too static, the specific kind of motion that the Pacific recommends. When everything is pressing and the pressure never ends.
60 miles per hour.
The Pacific holds the record. I think Ladera's talk box playing open to the night. And Miss Coretta's kitchen lamp, and Miss Rose's radio light. At Jerome walking western in the November cold and holding the markets on the harbor dock. His hands around the molding of what we are together. The Pacific code in motion. This Pacific kind of knowledge written into the ocean. It doesn't need a document or a ceremony or a space. Just 60 miles per hour in the wind against my face. And when I turn around, and I will turn around, the block will still be there with all its Pacific sound. And the Pacific coast will hold the record of the drive.
60 miles per hour.
The city in the rear view small, the coastline speaking volumes, and I'm hearing all the code that raised me. Everything I'm carrying and more. The Pacific doesn't forget, and neither does the shore.
60 miles per hour. And we're still alive and turning back.
And the bank. District Chrome at Weston, that's Weston. Strip chrome at Weston, 11:30 engine code. The block sends a different message when the temperature gets low. Not the summer block with families in the barbecue weeds. This is November, Western Avenue beneath the concrete freeze. Something in the winter light strips the season of its distance. The code don't change with season, but the states get red different when the nights come early and the cold makes conversation distant. When the faces that you know from summer don't come out the same. When the block reveals the cost of everything that has a name. When the warmth that made everything look earned and look for strips away and leaves you with the question of what you're here for. When nobody is watching and the only audience is the cold, and the corner in the cold, and everything you've ever been told. I've been standing on this corner long enough to know the weight of what it means to hold a block against the calendar's debate. November Western, it's a different kind of test. Strip everything you hold and see what passes the request of the code. Strip the throne, the simp, the smooth delivery, and what remains is either you or just a memory of a theory. Strip chrome at Western. No performance, no display. Just a war machine of what you are when comfort goes away. This is where the culture lives, beneath the celebration, beneath the low rider shine in the summer congregation. Strip chrome at Western. The winner tells the truth. Jerome caught 3 violations in the space of 40 days. Walking the same block, no different, just the laws in different ways. Same clothes, same path, same corner, different month, different result. The code reveals the truth that summer warmth was built to exalt around. Big Dre from 47 says the code is like a filter. Shows you everything the warmth of June will have to wither. Through to be found real, the ones who hold the code in November without reward are the ones who built the block for every member of the summer congregation. The ones who went and came back are the ones who learned what the winter was for. They learned that the chrome you strip in November is the chrome you earn in June. The strip version is the original. The scent was just a costume. This is West Coast strip, no G-funk cushion, no synth lid, just the drum machine and the bass and what you actually need, what you're willing to carry when the carrying comes at cost, what you refuse to give up when the summer warmth is lost. The question of November is the only question that is real. I watch this corner, ask his questions in the winter light. Watch who answers and who slips away before the night. Watch who stays when staying costs something tangible and clear. Watch who holds the code when there's no audience to hear. Watch who carries the chrome even when the chrome won't shine, and call it what it is. The only thing that's mine to offer to this corner in this cold, in this Pacific code that the West Coast wrote in every season, every episode. We don't need the chrome to hold what we've been given. We don't need the simp to know the code we've been living. Stripped down to the drum machine and the west wind. This is where the culture was before the culture was listening. Strict chrome at Western, engine cold, and still we hold the code, the corner, and the everything untold. Yeah. Hey. After 1 o'clock on this boulevard, the code gets read differently. The ones who don't belong are starting to reveal themselves. Specifically, the temperature has dropped, the crowd is thin, the serious remain. And the street expects particular things from the ones who claim to know the code. The code after 1 is not the same as the code at 10, when everyone was still playing the game like it was optional at 1. The optional is gone, and what remains is the accountant of who held on, who checked their temperament before the night got long enough to test it. And the street at 1 a.m. is rough in this specific way that only a tested man can pass. Not rough with violence, but rough with what it asks of your preparation, your composure, and your knowledge of the specific terms. The street after 1 is the college of the code, and the final exam is presence. What the street expects after 1, it expects you prepared. It expects the code was something that you actually cared enough to study before you arrived at this specific hour. What the street expects after 1 is that a man knows his power. What the street expects after 1, and the drum machine agrees. Hey, I watched a man once try the block at 1:15. Without the knowledge, you can tell by what his movement means. The eyes that move too much, the hands that don't commit. The posture of a man who got the costume but not the equipment to back it up. The street doesn't judge by the cloth alone. It judges by the certainty whether the man is grown into the weight of what he's carrying, or whether he borrowed the silhouette of something that someone else has authored. And the ones who know can read the signature in 30 seconds. The street after 1 has no patience for the record of an untested man in tested territory. What the street expects after 1, it expects authenticity in the specific language of the West Coast intensity of reading the room correctly and responding to the code. What the street expects after 1 is that you paid what was owed. What the street expects after 1, and the bass, it goes deep. Yeah, the West Coast smack at 1 a.m. is stripped of all pretension, not by the night, but by his own studied intention. To arrive without the costume that would ask a question that the code would then have to answer. Instead, the lesson of 1,000 nights is made the costume and the man the same thing, but one ends and the other began. Is the question at the boulevard after 1 stops asking, because the ones who know don't need the street unmasking. What they bring is visible in the specific way they hold their corner in the weight of how the night unfolds around them. The street knows when the street expects no less. After 1 o'clock, the boulevard is the courtroom, and the jury is every man who's been here longer. And the fury of being found without the knowledge is not violence. It's the specific loneliness of the untested silence. What the street expects after 1, and it doesn't negotiate. What the code requires is precise, and it doesn't tolerate the provisional or the approximate or the almost ready man. What the street expects after 1, and I understand what the street expects after 1. I've been here long enough. 1:30 on this boulevard, and the serious are present. The drum machine is running, and the night is past the crescent. I hold my corner with the weight of every 1 a.m. The street expects, and I've been what the street expects of them. After hours, before evidence. That's the name for the space we operate in. Not a club, not a crew, not an organization. A space. The space between midnight and when the record begins. And what happens in that space is the most honest thing we do, because there's no record of it, so there's no performance for the record. What we built here wasn't built for recognition. Recognition would have destroyed it. The things that survive in this world are the things that don't require the world to confirm their existence. They exist because the people inside them know they exist, and the people outside them don't know what to look for. I have been in after hours rooms on 3 coasts, and the rooms are different, and the people are different, and the protocols are different, but the principle is always the same. What happens after hours exists before evidence. And what exists before evidence is the only version of anything that's completely true. Because evidence is selection. Somebody decided what to keep. After hours is everything. Nobody decided anything. It just happened. And the people who were there carry it in themselves instead of in any file. After hours, before evidence. Victoria is still at the house in Ladera, and the amber light is still on, and Edgar is still in the kitchen on Friday nights, and the basin still doesn't know what decisions get made while looking down at the basin from that room. Uncle Ray's barbershop on Greenbrier still has a back room, and the back room still has a door to the parking lot, and the parking lot still has Tuesdays, and the Tuesdays still have conversations that Uncle Ray started in 1994 that continue past Uncle Ray, and people Uncle Ray trusted. Cousin Jerome is still on Jackson Avenue, second Tuesday of every month, with 3 phones in the basement that has been full since 1996 and will be full after all of us have moved on, because the basement doesn't need any one of us. The basement needs the principal, and the principal survives whoever was carrying it. After hours, before evidence, this is the report that cannot be filed from a world that does not file reports, written by a narrator who understood before he understood it consciously, that the most important things in any life are the things that happened in the space that no record could contain. Beaumont built something that survived. Beaumont Devante moved information that nobody else could move. Miss Celestine watches what nobody else watches. Edgar cooks for a room that nobody else feeds. Jerome holds what Jerome holds, and the holding continues. After hours, the city is honest. The city doesn't need to be the version of itself that it performs for the people who visit it. After hours, the city is just the city, sitting in the dark with the people who chose to stay. Past the hours, the rest of the world considers acceptable. Before evidence, before anyone decided what to keep and what to discard, before the morning came and made selections from what the night produced everything, and we were in it, and we chose to be in it, and the choosing is the whole story. After hours, before evidence, that's where we live, that's always been where we live, and the amber light in Ladera confirms it for anyone who needs confirmation, who already knows where to look for the light. After hours, without mercy. West side made its own decision. Chrome without mercy. Yeah. Chrome without mercy. That's the West Coast way, don't need velvet when the asphalt does the talking. Compton built me out of hard angles and hard choices, and the hardest choice I made was to keep walking. No philosophy for you, just the facts of the pavement. No lecture on the latitude, just the address and the time. West side operates on visibility and outcome. If it isn't producing, cut it from the line. Chrome without mercy. No apology for what Compton taught me to become. Chrome without mercy. The car runs clean, or the car runs dumb. I watch the east side talk about their doctrine and their patience, I respect it, but that ain't what feeds the corner out here. West Coast pimp is a different kind of animal, one that doesn't need a sermon, just makes the picture clear. Strip production, no extra, nothing added. Every layer earned its place or it gets removed. I drive the same route, past the same landmarks every evening, because reliability is the first principle I prove. Chrome without mercy. No apology for what Compton taught me to become. Chrome without mercy. The uniform is silence, but the weapon is the outcome. They try to overcomplicate the West Coast model, import some theories from the other side of the map, but Compton is a laboratory with no tolerance for extra. What survives out here survives by being exact. I don't announce the inventory, you read it in the posture. I don't count it where the cameras catch the count. The hard drum machine in my chest beats without endorsement. Chrome is what you are when you remove all the self-doubt. Chrome without mercy. No apology for what Compton taught me to become. Chrome without mercy. The corner never gave, it only subtracted. The game on the west side runs on two currencies: respect that you've earned and fear that you've established. Everything else is negotiable and temporary. Everything else gets replaced when it's exhausted. I seen them come from out of state with borrowed swagger, try to set a rate on territory that already had a name. The chrome in their ambition was still factory fresh and fragile. Compton has no patience for that kind of frame.
Gone without mercy.
No apology for what Compton taught me to become.
Gone without mercy.
The game was already running when they got here.
Same.
I am the West Side's unpretentious declaration. No excess in the uniform, no metaphor in the stance. Chrome without mercy isn't cruelty, it's precision. I don't leave room for what I can't afford to chance.
Chrome without mercy.
Compton, never gave a warning.
Chrome without mercy.
The corner, never asked permission.
Chrome without mercy.
Four corners, same conclusion.
Chrome without mercy.
West Side made its own decision.
One AM is a different city than midnight. The same block, different contract. Everything that was negotiable at 12 stopped being negotiable 7 minutes ago. You either know this or you're about to. Yeah, Calvin stood on gauge.
And Figueroa for the first time in 2020. Thinking presence was enough, thinking showing up was the whole move. The street let him believe that for exactly 30 days, this in a lesson he couldn't return. The man who walked up wasn't violent, wasn't even loud. Just asked one question Calvin didn't have an answer to, and the silence cost more than anything in his pocket. What the street expects after one is not loyalty, not muscle, not running fast. It's knowing what you are when the hour acts directly. No time to rehearse, the test is already happening. The 110 above Figueroa runs north toward downtown. All those exits and every one of them requires a decision. At 1 AM you don't get to circle back. You take the exit or the exit takes you somewhere else. I learned from a man named Reginald, not because he was right, but because he had the map, and the map cost him everything except the map itself. Some men collect only what they can't spend. Reginald said the code is not written anywhere, it's demonstrated at the moment you need it. If you hesitate, that's your answer. If you answer wrong, that's your consequence. What the street expects after one, it's not performance. The street has seen every performance. It's whether your feet know where they stand before your mouth opens to explain. I watched 3 men on this block try to borrow time, try to negotiate an extension on what the hour was billing. The hour doesn't extend credit on Figueroa after one. The hour collects the neon from the liquor store on Florence, throws orange on the corner where the deal didn't close, where somebody's eating the wind in the wrong direction, and nobody at the cross street even slowed down. The silk stays clean if the coast stays clean. You can dress the night in whatever fabric you choose, but underneath the silk, the street is reading the same thing it's been reading since before you arrived. What the street expects after one, you already know what the street expects after one. Street expects after one. Reginald knew, he just thought knowing was enough. The code was written on this coast before any of us knew to read it. This is not a threat, it's a weather report. Pressure from the south meeting pressure from the north. The boulevard is not cruel, just consistent. It applied tonight, exactly what it applied last night. You wanna survive this hour, be honest with the hour. Don't bring what you don't have. Don't claim what you came back. Calvin walks this block now at 22. Moves different, takes the corner wide, leaves space between himself and what doesn't need to be tested. That's not fear, that's the code operating correctly. What the street expects after one has nothing to do with what you wanted tonight to be. The contract runs one way, one rate, no exceptions. The boulevard clocks out when the boulevard clocks out. Not when you do. The 110 keeps moving, silk or not. The hour has already decided. Now it's your turn. Your turn. Yo. Crenshaw at 3 with no witnesses. Crenshaw at 3 with no witnesses. The boulevard is not empty at 3.
Empty is the wrong word. 3 a.m. on Crenshaw is selected. It's occupied by the people who have reasons to be here at this hour. And reasons to be on Crenshaw at 3 are not the reasons that get explained to the morning. I have driven this boulevard at 3 on too many occasions to count them accurately. And what I know about Crenshaw at 3 with no witnesses is that the witnesses are everywhere. They just not the witnesses you call if you were trying to establish a record of what happened. They're the witnesses who saw it and filed it. And the only ledger that matters in this world, the one that can't be subpoenaed.
Devontae called me at 2:47 a.m. on a Thursday in October. Not to threaten, not to posture, to inform. Devontae had information that affected decisions, that affected people, that affected operations. And Devontae understood that some information doesn't travel through daylight. Not because it's shameful, because daylight has too many ears. Ears that don't understand context. Ears that will build the wrong story from correct facts.
Crenshaw at 3 with no witnesses. Devontae met me at the intersection of Crenshaw and Slauson. And we talked for 11 minutes in 2 separate cars, both facing the same direction with the windows down. Not because 11 minutes is the exact right amount of time, but because 11 minutes was when the information was complete. And complete information requires nothing additional. And Devontae was always economical with his time, because economy of time is economy of exposure. And exposure at 3 a.m. on Crenshaw, even with no witnesses, is still risk. And risk gets managed, not ignored. What gets decided on this boulevard at this hour doesn't get announced in any format that the people who weren't there could access. The decision was made, the decision holds, and the next morning Crenshaw is Crenshaw at 9. And nobody on that sidewalk at 9 knows that the sidewalk holds the weight of what was decided on it at 3. That's the art of it, that's the whole art. The decision has to be invisible to daylight for it to be worth making in the dark. And I made enough decisions in the dark to know that the visible version of this world is operating on a story that the invisible version decided for it years ago at intersections at 3 a.m. with no witnesses that would talk about it to anyone who asked. Crenshaw at 3 with no witnesses. Crenshaw at 3 with no witnesses. Devontae's last communication on that third phone of his came through at 3:12 a.m. on a Saturday in 2022. And after that, the third phone went silent. And Crenshaw at 3 is still Crenshaw at 3. And the decisions still get made. And the witnesses still don't talk. And the sidewalk still holds. But what the morning doesn't know was placed there. Come correct it, don't come. The boulevard knows the difference of 3. The boulevard has always known the difference. And the difference is everything.